If you guys want to rank up as fast as possible in Chapter 6 Season 2, this video is for you. I'm going to show you guys how you guys can gain the most percentage in every ranked game you play. I will give you guys tips and tricks on what drop spots to land at, what loadouts to carry, and how you can win every ranked game you play, no matter what kind of player you are. If you guys get something from this video, make sure to hit that like button and also hit that subscribe button. Now, let's get into the video. The first thing you guys always want to do before you get into a ranked game is warm up. Spend at least 10 or 20 minutes in creative. The map I like using is Raiders Mechanical V5 map. It just came out, but that map is the best because it has everything you can work on, like your mechanics, your aim, your piece control, your free building. It has everything. So I recommend using that map, or you can use any map in general. You can do a 1v1 map. It really doesn't matter. But I'd recommend playing one of those maps, then after that hop into like a 1v1 map or box fight 1v1. When you don't warm up, it slows down your rank progression a lot. If you don't warm up, it might take a couple hours of just playing ranked to fully warm up, because when you're in game, you're really only going to be fighting for a couple minutes, so it's going to take you a while to warm up. So I would always recommend just going to creative and just taking 10 or 20 minutes just to warm up. The next thing I want to touch on real quick is what game mode should you play? Should you play solos, duos, trios, or squads to rank up the fastest? If you have a good squad to play with, just play with them. Of course, I know everyone doesn't have friends to play with. You don't always have people on dial to play with. But if you're just like me, a loner, just play solos, because when it does come to playing solos, duos, trios, and squads ranked, let's just use squads for example. You get 4 kills in squads. That is equivalent to 1 kill in solos. So technically solos are the best, but they do get boring pretty quickly. So if you have any teammates you can play with, I'd highly recommend doing that after you play a couple solos. Also, if you're tempted to play fills, do not play fills. Okay, you don't know who you're going to get as your teammate. You might get freaking Billy Bob Joe that's 40 years old and he's washed up. So make sure you have people you can actually play with, you can actually rely on. But in conclusion, solos are the best to rank up. And I always get asked this, how does the rank system work? A couple things I know. Early game kills are not worth as much compared to end game kills. So if you want to play passive in early game, that's actually pretty smart. And the same thing applies to placement. You gain 2 times more percentage when you play for late game instead of early game. And I'm not saying you don't fight early game. You probably have to fight early game if you're landing at a contested POI, but just try to play for end games. The next thing I want to touch on is figure out the meta and adapt to it fast. If you can't adapt to the meta in Chapter 6 Season 2, you won't have much success. Figure out what works and what doesn't work. For example, the new AR, it's pretty decent, but it does not much damage to build, so I would not be carrying that. I'll just be carrying the same AR they had last season. And figure out what kind of loadout you want to carry. If you want a fighter loadout because you're going to be fighting a lot, you want to have more weapons in your inventory compared to heals and movement. But if you want to play more passive, try to play for late game, have more heals and movement so you're ready for end game. Now let's talk about a drop spot. You need to find a spot that fits your play style. If you want to play more passive in the early game, land on the outskirts or at a low-key POI. But if you want to be a more aggressive player, land at contested POIs like the new ones they just added, like Shiny Shafts, Crime City, Lone Wolf Lair, and Outlaw Oasis. And after you figure out what drop spot you want to land at, practice that spot, landing there in a normal battle royale game a couple times so you actually know how to land there and know where some of the chests are, so you're not completely lost and you don't know what you're doing. Most people just find a spot and they just hop into rank early in the season and they just get smacked up because they don't know where anything is. And most people on the same level, even if you're on platinum or gold, those people are going to be on around the same rank as you because everyone just started out. So it's going to be very hard to rank up. To make sure you go in a battle royale game, just practice that spot a couple times, know where some chests are so you can be levels above your competition. The next tip I want to give you guys is take smart fights. Don't always fight the first person you see, but you got to make sure you have good situational awareness. Also, make sure the kill has more benefits than downsides. Like if it's early game and you already have a good loadout, there's really no point of fighting. Like I said, you can try to beam them and try to see if you can get some good damage off them, but if you don't, just walk away and just try to play for mid and late game. For example, when I was talking about the benefits and downsides, don't start a fight if you see a player and they're like 300 meters away from zone. There's no point of fighting that because you're going to be stuck in zone fighting them, and you probably don't even have white heals. If you do, maybe take that fight, but you're just going to be running the whole time. You're not going to see anybody. You're not going to be able to fight when it comes to mid and late game because you've been running the whole game. Also, watch out for third parties. Box yourself up when you're fighting somebody. You don't want to try to have a build fight, because if you have a build fight, more people can see that and you're going to attract more people. So try to play box fights. Even if they try to build up, just try to keep knocking them down. Make sure you have a loadout that you're confident with and you're comfortable with. For example, don't use weapons you suck with. I see some people use weapons and it's like the meta, but they completely suck with that AR or with that shotgun. Just because it's the meta doesn't mean you always have to use it. If you're comfortable with it and if you're good with it, use it. The next tip I want to give you guys is don't focus on the rank too much. Use rank as a stepping stone for getting better at the game instead of treating it like it's a tournament. It's just a rank system. You're there just to get better. Don't compare your skill level also when it comes to rank, especially in the early in the season. because everyone's going to be on the round same skill level. Slowly, like a month in, everything gets adjusted and everyone's in the right ranks. Don't beat yourself up too much. Use rank to practice for tournaments if you play tournaments. If you don't, of course, just still use it to practice and just use it to get better, because rank, there's no money involved. It's practice for tournaments. It's not the tournament itself. So make sure you just use rank, try to get some practice in for end games. And the last thing I want to touch on is play for end game. Like I said earlier, percentage is worth the most in endgame. Kills and placements are double compared to early game. And when it comes to fighting endgame, be spammy and apply a lot of pressure, because some people are going to be low, some people are going to try to be healing. So if you just keep applying pressure and pressure, they won't have a chance to heal and reload their weapons. It's also great practice for tournaments, like for solo cash cups. Solo cash cups aren't the most stacked. So are ranked games and end games. They're not too stacked, but they're stacked enough. So it's great practice. Also, get refreshes when it's needed. You can try to kill somebody, but don't always go for the refresh. Of course, if you need it, go for it. But if you don't need it, there's no point of going over there, because people are going to see that and people are going to push towards that. Play for the win. Don't try to fight everybody, but just pick certain fights. If you see somebody you need to go fight, you don't have many mats left, you need to refresh. Go fight them, box yourself around and just play smart and have good situational awareness. Alrighty, guys, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys got something from it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.